Shalom. I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash. Double honors to my elder apostles of the great millstone who were well. Peace and salutations to all my fellow laborers of the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And I wanted to do a quick video in response to this footage, which is based in Shanghai, China. And I was going to actually use the original, one of the original videos on YouTube, but it didn't have the subtitles that this version has on WorldStar, so that's why I'm gonna use the WorldStar version of it. But the reason I wanted to do a response to it is because it actually captures the reaction of those heathens over there. All right, and it shows you how dismayed and astonished that they are of the chariots when they see it. Okay, they think that this is some alien invasion happening. You know, this has become, you know, a phenomenon. That's why they call it UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. So, you know, it's becoming a common thing where they're frequently catching the sightings of the chariots. All right. So what I want to do is I'm gonna play the video, and I just want to do a, you know, like a slight response commentary to the reaction, you know, that you're going to see from these Moabites. All right. And hey, you know, because these Moabites, they proud as hell. And the scriptures talk about the pride of Moab. All right. And you see it, them seeing those chariots, you know, they're just being um introduced to what will in these last days befall them. And what they don't understand is that those chariots that they do see are a representation of their downfall, as well as Esau, the so-called white man, who's also in power. He's actually at the top. And these chariots, you know, which are the angels, when they come back, they're coming back to demote you nations out of power. Okay? So that's why these nations are dismayed at what they're seeing, because they don't understand what they're actually witnessing. So without further ado, let's play the clip. Huh. Let me skip the ads.
就有点很难解释。
右转那个3.0右转的，老白，你说弄啥？
哎，你看它这个彩茶。
哦，我一看还是个彩虹的，
这个人就吹过去的
编的。
啊，对，整编的。
哎，还是灯妖。
看到了，看到了。
You can see based off of the subtitles that they're pretty much, you know, they're astonished and they're dismayed. All right, they said this is too scary. Well, I don't know how they're gonna handle the day of the Lord if they're alive in that day, but it's gonna be a lot terrifying than what they're seeing. All right, because what they're seeing is, you know, is pretty cloudy, but they see that there's an object that's appearing, you know, slowly but surely out of the cloud, and they got them in you know, fear. Now the scriptures tell us in Jeremiah the 10th chapter, and we're gonna get the second verse. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." All right, and to be dismayed means to be terrified, to be in fear. All right, they don't know what that is, but we know what they are because the scriptures identify what these objects are. Now, sure, you know, a person can say, you know, that might be the holographic technology, you know, that Esau likes to use to deceive the masses of the people. This can be them practicing, a second coming of the Lord, whatever the case may be. That can be said because they have that technology. Even Moab, they have that same technology too. But we know on the day of the Lord, that can't be faked. It's gonna be very much real, and people they're gonna be squinting their eyes trying to figure out is this really happening? And yes, it will be happening. And it tells us in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, that they're going to be amazed at what they're seeing, because this is how we're going to be, the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be delivered. Now let's go there real quick. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. It is Wisdom of Solomon 5, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him." And right now, we're standing as that great army. And you read about that in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, as well as Revelation, the 11th chapter. It talks about how fear, fell upon the nations which saw us, stand up as that great army when the breath, the spirit of the Most High entered into us. And that's what they see happening right now, which is why, the cameras and, people's mouths, everybody's speaking on the Israelites. All eyes is on the Israelites right now. All right. It says, "And made no account of his labors." All right. How we built this place up, how, these nations, the reason why they stay afloat and in wealth is because of the labor of Jake. You see? And they don't make no account of that. That's the reason why this talk of reparations keep on escalating, but ain't nothing happening, because they're not going to give you reparations. Because Jake then, built this place from the ground up. There will be no amount of money that they can really compensate for. And that's why, like the elder apostle Aramlab that did a lesson earlier, we rather get the biblical reparations, which is going to be much more than anything that these devils can repay us. So we ain't got to worry about them making account of our labors. It says, "When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear." All right. They're going to be dismayed. And you just base it on this reaction right here, what they seeing in the clouds up in the heavens, how much more on the day of the Lord. Okay. They're going to be shook. It's going to be worse than, when you see them in those Godzilla movies, how Moab be, pointing and screaming and shit. It's going to be even worse than that. All right. Because the Lord, he's coming back to invade. All right. He's coming back deep with the thousands from heaven. And he's coming back to judge and make war. And he's also coming back to deliver. Who is he going to deliver? His elect of the children of Israel. All right. Who is he coming back to judge and make war with? You other nations. Okay. So you're going to be troubled with terrible fear, and says, "And shall be amazed, astonished at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all they looked for." Okay. So, I thought about these scriptures when I saw this footage here. I saw it on YouTube, but I didn't see the subtitles on the versions on YouTube. So that's why I have this version up on World Star that has the subtitles, and you can see it. This is too scary. It's massive. Like, you think this is something? 2nd Ezra 13, it tells you that the chariot that the Lord's going to come on is so huge that you're going to think that there's a mountain in the sky, man. This is what Ezra saw in the vision. In 2nd Ezra 13 and 1, it says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." He's coming back with the thousands of saints. All right, even Enoch prophesied of this. It says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. So that means everybody's going to be down on the earth and they're going to be looking up and they're going to be seeing and witnessing the power. When they see the sky get dark, the whole earth is going to stand still. It's going to be on pause and they're going to be terrified. They're going to be trembling. They're going to be pointing, pointing up. Eyes going to be getting big. That's what's going to be going down. All right. And then the Lord's going to proceed, after the world stops and looks and pay attention to what the Lord is doing. They're going to realize this ain't Project Bluebeam. Then that's when the Lord's going to proceed to light shit. All right, he's going to light them skyscrapers to scraps. And that's when people going to get to running, jumping over stuff, tripping and falling. Just like you saw on that movie World of Worlds. All right, with Tom Cruise. Okay. Now this one right here, what they're seeing is a triangular shaped chariot. Now let me finish the video.
看到了，看到了。
而且它是在云的上面。
They're talking about how big the ship is that they're seeing. Going back to the chapter, it says I'll read verse 4. The point is at 6 and 7. It says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth the fire. That's talking about the Lord's the mouth of his ship is going to open up, and that's when those laser beams are going to come out. All right, and that's how he's going to speak to thee. That's how he's going to plead with all flesh. They're going to feel that the wrath of his fury, man, that fire. He's going to proceed to start melting people. All right, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. There's going to be military troops, armies all over the world. They're going to be fighting, but they're going to assemble and try to, fight the Lord and the angels. It's going to be a war in heaven. We read about that in Revelation, the 12th chapter. All right, it says, and I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I could have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight, because we know the Lord loves a fight. All right, so he's going to put that spirit upon them, to shake off that fear, to try to fight the Lord anyway. And that's when the Lord's going to proceed to just walk right through them. All right. So this pretty much tells you it's already written how it's going to go. But as you can see, when he saw the chariot, he said it looked like he engraved a great mountain and flew upon it. So that you're talking about a very huge vehicle, ship that's going to be seen for all around the world. So you talk about massive. Well, that's what that's describing. So that's going to put a lot of fear on people. All right, but let's finish this out, and then we'll close out with a couple more precepts.
不一样的，你看云倒吹过去，对这个三角形都没影响，都透的，云都是透的，
就很清晰啊。
有个星球在上面。
这就是那个
是不是外星人的飞机哦？
科幻片里边的一个飞船。
你有发言权吗？这个航空航天的从这个。
我是皮毛，我只能听他们小叔说。
燕姐管的地方更高。这是航空，我是航天。
我靠！
好吓人！真的啊！
靠！这事情搞大了。我们真的人生尽其事。
好吓人，太吓人！
好清楚啊，越来越大。
Yeah, it's just hovering in the cloud. So who knows if that's an actual chariot, or that could be you know, a holographic projection. You know, they're using that technology to freak people out and to test it out. Who knows? But either way, that this reaction is going to be much worse on the day of the Lord. All right, and let's go to Luke 21. Luke 21 and verse. I'll read verse 7, and it says, "And they asked him, saying, Master, what shall it's like you? But when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass?" All right, talking about the end, right? And let's jump down to 10. It says, "Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation." And right now, you know, seeing reports that you got the Russian troops, you know, they're performing war drills not too far from Hawaii. All right, so that's you know, that should raise, you know, bells, so to speak, that something's getting ready to happen, man. It might pop off. You know, if they just had that, you know, they having that little summit over there, and Biden is not seeing eye to eye with Putin. So who knows what can happen? But that's an example of a nation rising against a nation. You also got that, you know, conflict over there in with Israel, between Israel and Gaza and Palestine. So these are all just examples. It says, "In kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines, and pestilences," all right, epidemics, "and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven." And that's what we're seeing. Fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven, which, you know, they're being dismayed at it, like the scripture said. You know, Jeremiah the 10th chapter, the heathen are dismayed at the signs of heaven. When we see these things, you know, we give glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai because we understand what it represents or what it signifies. It signifies that we're getting ready to get the hell up out of here, man. All right, so that's why we rejoice every time we see them. And people be scratching their heads like, "What, you know, what are y'all, you know, what you so happy for?" Okay, and let's jump down to 25. It says, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity." All right, to be in a state of perplexity means to be in a state of, you know, bewilderment. All right, you you just don't know what the hell is going on. You don't know what to do. You're confused. It says, "The sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth." They're gonna be amazed. They're gonna be terrified with fear, because this is, you know, how we're gonna be saved. This is gonna be our deliverance. They're not gonna be expecting us to go out like this. You know, after all these years of seeing, you know, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know, on reservations and in project buildings and in the city, cursed, you know, living in, you know, very poor conditions, being mistreated, you know, being labeled, you know, bywords and proverbs, being basically under the curse. Then they're gonna see these a remnant of these same people being beamed up into ships. All right, the same ships that's gonna be, you know, shooting, you know, lasers and concentrated fire. They're gonna be tripping, man. It says, "And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh." All right. So when we see these ships, you know, just to remind us that, hey, we getting ready to be redeemed, man. All right. Finally, we getting ready to be redeemed. Because going back to the curse, Deuteronomy 28, it said that no man shall buy you. No man on earth would have the power to redeem us out of our condition, out of the curses. Only Yahweh Shai is going to come back to redeem us. And even Job even prophesied of that redemption. He said, "I know my Redeemer liveth," and that his eye is going to, you know, behold the power. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm not gonna make this long, but I just want to do a response to it. Just to show you, how dismayed these heathens are. So how much more when the Lord comes back and judge and make war? Because he's coming back to put a celestial, heavenly black foot, all right, sideways in the ass of these nations, man. Yeah, it tells you that in was that Micah the 5th chapter in the 15th verse. He's basically gonna judge these people, man. All right, matter of fact, let me get that. Micah 5 and 15. And it says, and I will execute vengeance and anger and fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. See? So the Lord's coming back to execute vengeance upon them. All right, based on, you being our enemies and what you've done. You've been confederate, all right, with one another, with one consent, to keep us from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. You gave gifts to one another, you made merry, you would not suffer us to be put in graves. Okay? So the Lord's coming back to exalt his people, man, that cast down. So anyway, I'm gonna end off with that. Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Until the next lesson, Shalom.